Hey everybody, it's Teresa again. This is the third day of our pre-training. Really excited to get into it today. I hope you're starting to get some belief and start to realize that you really can do this. And that if you change the way that you think about your business and your skills and what direction you need to go to make this happen, that you're starting to realize, you know what? It really is just baby steps. I can totally do this. So I want to preempt what happens when you start to get stuck. Because I've been doing this now for over a decade and I know where I got stuck. I know where other people get stuck. And if I can help to navigate that before we jump right in, it's gonna make all of our jobs so much easier and we'll get to the finish line way faster. So the first part of this concept is actually something I learned from Pat Petrini, who is the co-author of Miracle Morning for Network Marketers. And he's got tons of really cool frameworks and ideas around this business and entrepreneurship. But this is one that had a big impact on me. And I think it's going to be super big for most of you guys as well. And the concept is about disadvantages. So kind of the way this works is one day you guys had a vision, you had a dream, you got all excited. So here's you all excited about this dream that you want to follow, this vision, because you're like, okay, this is going to be the most amazing thing in the world. And you know that in your heart because you're thinking, oh my goodness, I can see this vision. Your vision is right up there. It's right in your head. It's in your heart. It's where you want to go. It's what you want to create and how you want to serve people, right? So this is happening inside of you. And then, you're thinking, okay, well, I really want to help people with their health, or I want to make my fortune, or I want to have more time with my kids. I want to travel more. I want to have more freedom to travel. Whatever it is, it's different for every single one of us. And we've all got a different reason, but we all had one thing in common. We wanted to create something. We wanted to create something beautiful, something that made a difference. That's why we chose doTERRA. And what happened is you started down the path. You're going down this path and then something happened, right? Something happened to stop you. You're learning, you're going through all this studying, you're having a bunch of fun, and you're going down this path and all of a sudden you get stuck. You hit an obstacle or you notice that you have a disadvantage and something that you're going through that the other people don't have to struggle with, or you notice something in your life that you're thinking, this makes me unworthy, or I can't do it. I don't have the skill. I'm not good enough. I'm not like them. Sometimes it's because we're going through a really hard trial that has nothing to do with doTERRA. It might be that you realize, something you don't know how to do, or you see the difference between where you are and where the successful people are. You see that huge gap. Or people start to tell you that network marketing is lame, or a bunch of people all right in a row tell you no, or you notice you're not very good at closing. You can share the oils like crazy, but you can't close to save your life. And some of you, it might be that you can sign a bunch of people up, but you can't find any builders. And you just feel like, whatever, just forget it. I can't seem to do it. Then you get in this rabbit hole by focusing on the disadvantage you have and why this is such a stumbling block for you. And that's all you can see. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And you start to lose momentum because of what you're going through. And you might get overwhelmed, we might get stressed, something bad happens. We move into this zone over here that we call procrastination. And procrastination is kind of like a swamp. It's like you're in quicksand and you just can't get out, you can't move. So these entrepreneurs get stuck in this procrastination mode, but we don't call it procrastination. We don't tell ourselves, oh, I'm procrastinating. We call it, I'm busy. Or I really didn't want to do this anyway. Or this network marketing thing is just not for me. Or my upline isn't helping me. Or my downline won't do what they said they were going to do. You guys, we start focusing on the stories that we're telling ourselves about the disadvantages and why we have them. So we're telling ourselves the wrong stories. And it's a lie. It's all a lie. Because the real reason we're procrastinating is because of these stories we've been telling ourselves. And it distracts us from our vision that actually got us moving forward in the first place. So what? All of a sudden you really didn't have that vision? What are you gonna tell me? Oh, no, actually, I just don't have that vision anymore. I don't care anymore. That dream that you got all excited about, that made your heartbeat race, that made you feel like you wanted to jump out of bed in the morning and get going for the day, all of that stuff that made you decide to do this in the first place. And actually what? You were just making that all up? You were, faking it? I don't think so. What happened is the dream got scary. It's got scary trying to do it and trying to go after it. So if you ever get stuck in this procrastination place, I'm going to show you today why you're getting stuck and how many of you think I'm absolutely confident 100% of the time. Well, I'm not. How many of you think I know exactly what to do to achieve the next goal that I have? Because I have absolute massive goals. How many of you think I know exactly what to do to achieve it? I don't. How many of you think I know how to put the trainings together so it's perfect for you guys? You guys, I don't. I don't know most of what I need to do next. I don't. I just take it one thing at a time, one little thing at a time. I created the fast track training because I needed it. It's not like I was thinking years ago, okay, I'm going to do this step, and then when we get to this point, then I'm going to create a training for everyone. I didn't think that. It got to a point where I needed it. So I started to create it. And then as I was creating it, I started realizing, wow, we have some holes in our training. There's some things missing. I started going to all the trainings of all the biggest leaders. I started going through all the things I've learned in my trainings. And I was taking the best of the best, and I created something that is the most powerful thing that I have ever had to use. And it is amazing because it comes from the most amazing people. And it comes from all the most amazing things that we've learned and that we've grown. So I created this fast track training. I created it for me and for my leaders, right? And the next thing I know, more people are wanting to use it. So I've got people now who are wanting to use fast track. So now the next step is I'm having to set up a support system to help take care of all the people who want to use it. And so it's exciting, it's fun, but do you think I knew that was going to happen? No. Do you think I know how to set up the best support? No, but guess what? I'm learning darn fast. So then after that, I started realizing, okay, so it turned into something so big that we needed the next step. The next best thing that everybody needs is to be guided through the process of using that training so that they can maximize the benefits of everything I'm trying to train you. So then we came up with the idea of the 30-day challenge. So now we're in the process of creating the 30-day challenge, getting it all ready for you guys and giving you what you need so that we're ready for day one of the challenge. And do you think I knew what to do for a 30-day challenge? No, I had to walk through step by step, go through every detail of the things that we do for training. And then I had to figure out, okay, so but on a mass scale for people who maybe have never met me before, or people who I'm working with all levels of people who are beginners and people who are blue and presidential diamonds. So how can we do this in a way that is going to benefit every single person that uses it and they can maximize the use of it? So guess what? I don't know what's coming next. Right now we're doing the 30-day challenge and I probably don't know how to do what's coming next. And you know what? Yeah, I've been super successful. The reason why is because every single time that I don't know what to do, and then I start to procrastinate because I'm hesitant, because I don't know what to do, you want to know what I do? I go find someone who's really good at the thing that I'm trying to do. And then I model them. That's it. I model them. When you start feeling like you've got a disadvantage or you hit a stumbling block, you stop and say, okay, who already knows how to do this? Who is better at this than me? In fact, who's the best at it? Who is that person who already knows how to do it that I can just learn from? That's what you do. You get the right who, and they will take you to your vision very, very quickly. If you sit down with Dave Sterling or Dr. Hill or Rob Young or Emily Wright, do you think that they would just say, oh yeah, I just automatically knew how to do all the things that I'm good at? And when we started doTERRA, we knew exactly what was going to happen and we knew exactly the next step processes. No, They would give you a list of the names of people who taught them different things along the way. They would say, so-and-so was a powerful influence in me, in my life. And they taught me how to be more independent. And this college professor taught me how to communicate better. And this person over here gave me the confidence to start my business. And once we started, we would run into this problem and we weren't sure what to do. And we hoped and we would pray over decisions. When we had these decisions to make, we weren't sure which one would be the best for the company. And so we had to think it through and talk it through and pray over it. And time after time after time, every step of the way. And that's how doTERRA turned into what it is. So they found people who were already good at it, who already knew. That's why we have Kurt Jowers. That's why we now have Corey Lindley, who wasn't part of the original owner team. That's why we now have some of the top people working at doTERRA who help us go through this process. As you do the 30-day challenge, there are only 6 steps. 6 steps that you need to know how to do to start your business and to be successful. Number 1 is launch your business and make your Help 100 list. Number 2 is how to sample effectively. Number 3 is how to invite. Really get good at how to invite people to your classes, how to invite them to get involved in doTERRA. Number 4 is how to teach a class. Number 5 is how to close a class. And number 6 is how to follow up. 6, that's it, 6 steps. And guess what? If you learn how to do those 6 steps and you start to get confident at each of those, even just a little bit more confident at each of those, it will be exponentially magnifying for your business. So what if you actually succeeded in learning these 6 things? What if you got better at it this next 30 days? You know you want to be successful in network marketing. That's why you're here. But do you want it badly enough? Because you're going to find out whether you want it badly enough, because you're either going to make it or you're going to quit. Period. I don't want you to quit. Don't quit. Please don't quit. Because I know what happens to every single person who doesn't quit. Eventually, you'll learn how to do it well enough that you see the success coming in easier and more efficiently and faster. It's awesome. So you must keep moving forward toward your network marketing goals. And here's why. Millions of people around the world from different countries, ages, ethnicity, backgrounds, level of education, created significant incomes. They've changed their lives and they have built huge businesses, and all in network marketing. Millions, you guys. So I have a question for you, and this is the stuff that I'm getting from Pat Petrini that I learned from him that was so powerful. He says, I have a question for you. Do you honestly think there is something that millions of people can do that you can't do? Of course not. Through this whole challenge, come back, watch these videos. Every time you start to struggle with belief, I want you to come back here. Don't buy into perceived limitations you think you have. And I want you to accept that millions of people have done this, and you can too. Success is simply learning how to master the right skills. And that's what the 30-day challenge is all about. I'm going to teach you which skills you need to learn, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. We're going to make it simple. My hope is that you will start to do them and you'll realize, oh my goodness, I get it. I may not be awesome at it, or I may have messed up on that one, but now I see what I did wrong and I know how to do it right. And you keep moving in that direction. Think about the first time you played a new card game or picked up a badminton racket. You didn't just hit the ball the first time and do it perfectly. You either hit it okay or poorly, or you missed it. Or maybe you hit a few really great, but then you had some bad hits, or you missed it. You hit it into the ground, or you hit it into the net, or you hit it way out of bounds. And what did you do? Do you quit? Forget it. I'm no good at this. No, you say, oh, now I get what it feels like. Now I have a better idea of what I'm supposed to do. I get what it feels like when the racket hits the birdie, and I know how far out to reach my racket to actually make it hit. And I see what it's like when I hit the birdie on the edge of the racket, on the wood part, and I'm starting to get a feel for it. So you start to get a feel for what you're supposed to do. Then you pick up the birdie, but are you all depressed when you pick up the birdie? Dang it, I tried it once and it was awful. No, you don't do that. You're excited. You're thinking, okay, now that I understand this better, I'm going to hit it again. I want to try it again. And then I'm going to be able to do it better. And then after you hit it a few times, guess what happens? You get more and more excited, realizing, wow, I'm going to get better. But just like anything that you try to do, any skill you try to learn, just as with badminton, at first you get better fast. And then you hit this space where you go, this is so frustrating. I know how to do it. I'm better at it, but I keep messing up. You're going to hit that too. You guys, that's normal. You hit a spot where now you need to create better leadership skills, better situations that are going to help you move beyond that. Okay, so but this 30-day challenge is actually going to propel you to that place faster so that you're going to feel more confident. So that when you hit the next stumbling block or thing that you call a disadvantage, guess what's going to happen? Now you're going to know what to do. You're going to know how to get on to the next thing. So advantages and disadvantages, I'm going to say something that's going to blow your mind. Advantages and disadvantages do not exist. They don't. What seems to be a weakness is your biggest strength. Prior disadvantages end up becoming the thing that catapulted you to success. I want you to think of perceived disadvantages that you may have. And you'll notice that our action item in the workbook today will be all around this, about disadvantages, perceived disadvantages. Think of ways that they could work in your favor. I want you to think of one disadvantage that you have. I'm too old. I'm too young. I've never done this before. I am not very smart. I didn't finish college. I have no money. I don't have any time. I'm super busy. I don't care what it is. You think of a disadvantage that you have, and I want you to think for a second, what are the things that could be positive about that disadvantage that you tell yourself is a disadvantage? For example, for a single parent, can you relate to other single parents better? Do you find that you're more driven because you have to be? Is being a single parent better than being married to a horrible person? You become the success story that proves to other single parents that it can be done. You'll inspire so many other people. You'll change lives. If I paid you $100 for every single advantage that you could think of that's associated with your perceived disadvantage, how many do you think you could come up with? I bet you would be able to come up with an unlimited number. In fact, the number would be limited only by how many $100 bills I had. What if you wrote a book? Let's say that you're a single parent, you write a book about how you overcame that disadvantage. Or you were young in network marketing and you felt like that, I'm too young, people don't believe me, they don't trust me, they don't think I know what I'm doing. And so you write a book about how you achieved success and how you did that. Let's say, how much money do you think you could make from that book? What could you do with that money that would lead to other opportunities and success? How much influence could that create because you wrote a book about that? Who might you meet because of what you chose to do? And what other doors might be opened as a result? So this is some information that is in the Miracle Morning for Network Marketers, and I want to share it with you because what Pat taught there is so powerful about disadvantages. He says, do you see how long this list can get? Do you see how many things you can think of that are actually advantages because of what you are going through? I don't care how hard your trial is. I have people on my team who have a child who is so ill that they're fighting for their life. And they start a blog or they start a social media page about how they use the essential oils with that or the struggle that they're going through. And it grows their team 10 times faster because there are people out there struggling and suffering too. And it helps them feel connected. And it helps them feel like, wow, somebody's leading the pack. And somebody that I can follow. Somebody who can give me hope. Sometimes it's not even people who are dealing with the exact same issue. So don't get your heart set on keeping these stories that you tell yourself. And another thing that Pat says is he says, guess what? There are an unlimited number of disadvantages you could associate with your perceived disadvantage. What are the disadvantages of someone who wrote the book? Well, you have to write the book. That's not easy. That's a hard thing to do. It stinks. If there's an unlimited number of disadvantages and an unlimited number of advantages, then we're left with the conclusion that every single situation is actually neutral. It's not necessarily good or bad. It just is. The stress that we feel when we are in a seemingly tough situation is a result of the outcomes that we choose to focus on, not the reality of the situation. This is not about positive thinking, oh, I need to be positive. It's actual physics. Advantages and disadvantages only exist in our head. Young people have energy, old people have wisdom. Big companies have resources, small companies have agility. No parents have time, parents have motivation. Established companies have stability, startups have massive upside, and on and on and on. You guys, whatever your perceived disadvantage is, it can actually be an advantage. And the list goes on. So this is what makes us all equal as human beings, is that we all have stuff. We're all going through something. It doesn't matter where you come from, how much money you have, or what you want to accomplish. It doesn't matter. You have an infinite number of factors in your favor and an infinite number of factors that are against you. You choose which ones you want to give power to. So I have an affirmation that is going to be included in your workbook that I want to give you. And it's a combination of something that Pat Petrini wrote in an affirmation for himself and affirmations that Hal Elrod wrote in one of his Miracle Morning books and his the stuff he uses to help people with that. And it's partly mine. So it's a combination of the three: Pat Petrini, mine, and Hal Elrod. Okay? I'm going to read it to you now because I want you to think about this, and this is absolutely true. And I'm going to ask you guys to read this out loud every single day. And I have to tell you, I used to think affirmations were ridiculous, because I thought of affirmations as looking in the mirror and going, I am worth something, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but the reality is that doesn't do anything for me. It may do something for some people, but that doesn't do something for me. And there's actually research on affirmations that shows how powerful they actually are if they're done correctly. If you lie to yourself in the affirmation, then it will never work. In fact, it causes more damage because you already know it's a lie and you don't believe yourself. So for example, if you're wishing you were thinner and you tell yourself in your affirmation, I am thin, and you know you're not, that's a lie. And so you're not going to believe it. If you are thin, fine, make that part of the affirmation. But an affirmation also has to commit to something. You have to talk about what you are willing to do in order to achieve that success or the thing that you're wanting. So let me read this to you. I know that where I am in my life now is both temporary and exactly where I need to be to learn what I must learn so that I can become the person I need to be to create the life I truly want. Even when life is difficult, especially when life is difficult, the goals I am trying to achieve are going to be easier to achieve. Advantages and disadvantages are false constructs. They are only an advantage or a disadvantage if I tell myself they are. The only difference between me and the people who have succeeded in situations that are similar to mine is the stories I choose to tell myself about my situation. I am just as worthy, deserving, and capable of achieving everything that I want in my exact situation. In fact, I am more likely to achieve everything I want because of my situation. The only thing that separates me from the most extraordinary life I can imagine is my level of commitment to changing the stories I tell myself about the advantages and disadvantages in my life. From this moment on, I am 100% committed to changing the stories I tell myself about the situations I have in my life. I will change my stories of justification to stories that tell me all the reasons why my situation is the biggest advantage I have. I will recognize all the ways my situation is a gift, and I will no longer tolerate the false beliefs that my situation is somehow a burden and that it is stopping me from achieving my goals. I can turn my adversities and obstacles into advantages by accepting all that is out of my control, past, present, and future, so that I can give myself freedom from emotional pain, freedom from blame. I can be at peace and create the life I truly want. I want to tell you a story about Sean Stevenson. Sean Stevenson, you can look him up online. He's amazing. He's actually a motivational speaker, and he's phenomenal. He was born with really short arms and little tiny feet that kind of maybe look like not webs really, but they're not shaped normally completely. And he's about 2 feet tall. He's an adult man, 2 feet tall. He can't walk. He is in a wheelchair all the time. and there are a lot of things he can't do. And because of his physical condition and because of what he was born with, his bones break really easily. And he shares this story about how I don't think he said what age he was, but I get the idea that he was about junior high, maybe young high school. And he was so abnormal, his body was so abnormally shaped compared to a normal physical form that it was really obviously difficult for him. And he struggled with never feeling like he was normal. And his mom, he had an amazing mom, it sounds like, and she would help him through the process, and most of the time he could handle it pretty well. And because he couldn't walk, he said that he was laying on the floor, kind of rolling around, and it was Halloween. And he said Halloween is his favorite day of the entire year because everybody dresses up on Halloween. That's the day that nobody ever acts like he looks weird. Everybody's dressed up in crazy stuff, so he feels normal. It's the one time in his life that he gets to feel normal. And he dresses up and goes to a Halloween party, and he was so excited because he had a party that night that he was going to get to go to. So he's rolling around on the floor, and he said his foot hit the door, and he felt it hit the door, and something that small will break his bone. And he heard the crack, and he said it's like there's a infinite amount of time between the time that you hear the crack and you feel the pain. And he said in that moment, he felt he was so angry, and he knew he was going to miss the party. He knew he was going to miss all of this excitement and the day that brought joy to him. And he thought, this, can you believe this? Of all the days. And he knew he was going to miss out on all that stuff. And so he said then the pain came, his mom came running over, she heard it, she came running over. And she said, he said that she came over to help him, and normally when he would get so frustrated, she would talk him through it. And because of his condition, when he gets a broken bone, he can't go to the doctors. They can't set it like a normal broken bone, it won't set. He just has to lay there and be totally immobile for 6 weeks. So you can imagine what he knew was about to happen in his life now, again, for another time. So his mom comes running over, and he said that normally when his mom would come over and help him through something like this, she would kind of help him get through it by saying something like, so tell me, in our last family vacation, what was the most fun thing that you did? And she'll kind of get his mind off of it like that. And he said, but this time I was so angry. And normally, he said, I dealt with it pretty well, but this time was different. And he was so angry. And he said, my mom saw in my eyes, she could see that it was different, and the anger in my eyes. And he said she kind of sat back and she looked at him and she said, Sean, is this going to be a gift or a burden in your life? And he said, I'm sitting there thinking, are you kidding me? A gift? Is this going to be a gift in my life? And I'm sitting there listening to it for the first time, sobbing, thinking, oh my goodness, that brilliant mother, that she could know how the kind of pain her child was in and still say that in that moment, knowing that he needed to know that he had a choice to make. And he said, I sat there, and he said, something changed inside of me at that moment. And he said, I thought, he's thinking a gift or a burden. And he said, I realized that what she was telling me was, are you going to choose to let this be something that is going to be an excuse for you for the rest of your life? And what an amazing, amazing man. And he decided in that moment that he would never let that be a burden, that it would be a gift in his life. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I need to be a better person. I can do better if he can do that. And now he has turned his life into something that, because of his disadvantage, millions of people want to talk to him, want to hug him. He changes their lives. He helps them see who they can really be. And he helps them to stop telling themselves these stories that they tell themselves that stop them from following their dreams. He is he is huge success, and he is changing the world because of his, quote, disadvantage. So you decide today what you are going to tell yourself about your supposed disadvantages. And I will tell you one more thing that Sean said that is so powerful. He said, it isn't that the pain goes away. It isn't that the heartache isn't still there. But it's what you choose to do with that that makes all the difference. So please know, I am not saying that that doesn't mean you're not going to have hard things, that you're not going to ache and have pain and go through so many things. But because you are struggling with that, because of your experiences, because of your obstacles or trials or disadvantages, that is the advantage that can make all the difference. You might look at Sean and say, man, there's no way he can have success. He's the first one to say, dude, I was born this way. Could he say, what an amazing disadvantage? Yeah, what an amazing excuse, right? No way. He knows it doesn't mean there isn't pain, doesn't mean there isn't heartache, just means the pain and the heartache are a part of what you experience as you move forward anyway. Doing it anyway, that's why what you're about to do is something to be proud of. That's why it's something that matters. It's going to change your life. And that's why this is what's going to help you then move on to help other people change their lives. If you didn't have to fight for this, do you think it would mean anything? No way. Every time you have to fight for this, that's what makes it make a difference. That's why you're able to change people's lives. And according to Sean, not only has he succeeded in spite of his seeming disadvantages, he is who he is today because he was born that way, because of what other people would call disadvantages. Such a massive obstacle is actually what created the opportunity for him to succeed. It gave him the opportunity to overcome, which led to the many opportunities and the success that he has today. Sean Stevenson's story about his broken leg and that night of Halloween, guess what? That was his epiphany story. What's yours? You can have your epiphany story in this 30-day challenge. Some people have a really hard time with this because it robs them of the story they've been telling themselves. Their rationalization for, why it's okay that they haven't succeeded, whatever that means for them. Don't be one of those people anymore. You have exactly as many advantages and disadvantages as every other human. Zero. Get rid of the idea that you have disadvantages. Instead, look at your obstacles as opportunities. Your obstacles provide the direction that you need to go through them. They are your roadmap. They're what's helping you decide, okay, I gotta go this direction because of your obstacle. Once you figure out a way to overcome them, your real opportunity is what lies on the other side of that. What if your perceived disadvantage is what is going to help you find the success that your creator is planning for you, or whatever your belief system is? Now, there's a social stigma in network marketing, and we create a new community of entrepreneurs. That you're going to have people who tell you it can't be done, or that network marketing is lame, or that it's stupid. And guess what? You become the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So does this mean that if someone doesn't believe in you, if your spouse doesn't believe in you, you got to cut the ties? No. What this means is you accept them for who they are and for the beliefs that they have at the level they're at with this thing. There are things they have higher belief systems than you do in other things. You have a higher belief system in this arena. So that's okay. Let them have theirs. But the people that you choose to geek out over this with, they need to be people who can help you achieve your goals and help you stop complaining, stop blaming, stop whining. Okay? But for some reason, as entrepreneurs, we decided that we wanted to change the world, something that's way more complicated than any job. And then instead of saying, who are the people who can help me on my journey? We sit back and say, I have a disadvantage. You spend the next 10 years of your life dabbling in your dream, but not really going after it because you're so busy focusing on your disadvantage or the hard thing that you're going through. And so for you guys, that's why most of you guys are struggling, is because you're so focused on why your disadvantage or your trials make it hard for you. And it might be something massive like a death in the family or a health challenge that is really severe. But it might be that your upline won't help you or your downline won't do what they say they're going to do. You decide what those disadvantages are that you've been telling yourself stories about. Of course this makes it hard for you. That's why what you're doing is going to matter even more. So for me, I look back in time, like when I was in building mode with my company initially, I had no skills. I just had the ones that, some that came a little more naturally to me and some that I had to work on more. And I'm really grateful for that now. So this is the Teresa that's from 15 years ago. This is my future self because I didn't give up. And guess what? I'm excited about some of the things I've achieved. I'm excited about what I've done, but I'm not done. The Teresa 15 years from now is going to look back and go, wow, you really made some dumb mistakes back in this time. Guess what? I'm going to make the mistakes and I'm going to move forward and I'm not going to stop. So when I first started doTERRA, when I didn't know what I was doing, guess what? Sometimes I didn't know famous people who had done network marketing. I didn't have access to big leaders who had done this before. So guess what I did? I found the best books that had the best reviews and I would read them and I would practice and I would learn. And I knew the doTERRA culture. I would go to the owners because that's all there was. There was the owners and a few of us. And so I would go to them and ask them. And guess what? They haven't built in the field. There were so many things they knew, but there were so many things that they didn't know about building how we know how to build. And so little by little, we just had to learn. We had to find ways to figure it out. And that's what we did. And you need to understand that there's an opportunity cost. If you look at the definition of the opportunity cost, it's the benefit or the value of something that must be given up to acquire or achieve something else. You have to give up one thing to get this thing. You have to choose. So if what does that mean in this situation? You give up the story that you're telling yourself that makes you feel comfortable. Then you have to be uncomfortable. The opportunity cost is you've got to be uncomfortable because now you're not going to have that story anymore. So every time you're going to make a choice in this 30-day challenge, I want you to think, what's my opportunity cost? What is it? If I do this thing that Teresa's telling me to do, what is that going to cost me? My opportunity cost is that I don't get to have my justification story anymore. I don't get to sit back peacefully in my mediocrity and be content. But I get to help people. I get to change people's lives. I get to change my life. I change my financial future and I get to gain the knowledge. So now I know how to help other people do the same thing. So what's the opportunity cost if you don't? If you do quit, what's the opportunity cost? You give up on moving forward on your dream. I give up. What happens if I give that up? I give up on changing my life and the lives of all the people who are waiting for me to give them access to these amazing oils. But guess what I get to have? I get to keep justifying my reasons for not doing anything. That's what I get to do. I get to hold on to my story about why my situation is unique. Mine is different from everyone else. And I get to stay comfortable right where I am. But what's the opportunity cost of staying comfortable? Giving up the dream. Giving up the dream. And 10 years from now, you'll look back and you'll be in the exact same situation you were before. You're better than this. And honestly, that's why I'm making you pay for this challenge. Because you're better than this. And I know that payment is going to instigate more effort and more trying and more energy put into this. Because you're going to believe that, okay, I got to do it. At least I paid for it. I got to get my money's worth. And I'll tell you what, I'm all about being content with what you have. Loving your life. Loving the way things are, being grateful about everything that you have and that you've been blessed with. But I'm not going to lie and tell you that that's good enough because you are better than that. You are more than that. Every single one of you watching this, you're better than that. You have a mission to fulfill that is going to change people's lives. I believe that. In fact, I know that. And when you change people's lives, you change the world. You change the world. Have you guys done what you wanted to do in the last 10 years of your life? Do you really feel like you contributed what you were meant to contribute? If the answer is yes, then good job you. Let's take it to the next level because it's time to move on from there because you're just getting started. But if your answer is no, then let's do this. Let's do this for the next 30 days. Make sure that the next 10 years will be something you can look back on and be proud of and know that you contributed. You were busy fulfilling your mission. What are you here for? Let's do this. 30 days, you guys, 30. Give me 30 days. That's it. For some of you, you'll be launching your business. For the rest of you, you're going to be relaunching. We're going to do this together. We will build your dream. Okay, so some of you are going to struggle with this challenge, and as you're going through this process, I want you stressing out less about your situation, because if you do that, you're stuck in procrastination, and we only have 30 days to change the world. And I'm telling you, we can do it. If you're stuck in procrastination, we're not going to make it past the 30 days. Do you understand that? So in the next 30 days, I'm going to give you guys the strategy, the framework. So you basically you'll basically have the blueprints that you need for exactly what you need to know for every step of the process for building your business. Does that make sense? And the fun thing about this is that it's a finite challenge. We've got 30 days to do this. You only have 30 days. You can't get stuck in procrastination or you'll never make it to the end. Just focus on the advantages you have because of your situation. That's the magic. That's what's going to happen, okay? So I want you to go to your workbook. It's digital. I want you to make sure you complete all the check boxes for today, but the most important one is I want you to fill out the obstacles and disadvantages form, and I want you to take the time to really go through it. This is something you're going to refer to throughout the challenge. All right, you got this.